There was an emotional moment at Boris Johnson's press conference in Poland. A Ukrainian participant uses the question and answer sessions for a desperate appeal. So, a no-fly zone over Ukraine? An understandable suggestion for British Prime Minister Johnson. However, he considers the implementation to be almost impossible. He has to say that to a Ukrainian activist who in tears confronts him. A Ukrainian activist has caused trouble for British Prime Minister Boris Johnson with quite a sensational appearance at a press conference there in Warsaw. Daria Kaleniuk, who fled her homeland for Poland a few days ago, accused Johnson and NATO of not wanting to set up a no-fly zone over Ukraine for fear of further escalation with Russia. NATO doesn't want to intervene because NATO is afraid of World War III, but it has already begun, and it's Ukrainian children who are being hit, said Kaleniuk through tears. People in Ukraine are desperately asking for protection from air raids, the head of an anti-corruption organization said. What is the alternative to a no-fly zone? For around 2 minutes, the Prime Minister looked at the Ukrainian in dismay and nodded in agreement almost throughout. Johnson finally said he was glad that she made it to Warsaw and could ask her question, and admitted that Britain could not help Ukraine in the way she imagined. With a no-fly zone, NATO would have to shoot down Russian planes and engage in direct combat. We can't do that, he said. The consequences of that would be very, very difficult to control. Kaleniuk also criticized the previous British sanctions against Russian oligarchs as not being consistent enough. Johnson replied that Britain was one of the first countries to take action against oligarchs close to Putin. However, the pressure on the head of government to extend the sanctions to additional people is growing. The Liberal Democrat Leila Moran caused a stir a few days ago when she read out a list of 35 names in parliament that the imprisoned Kremlin critic Alexei Navalny had identified as possible targets. Kaleniuk accused Johnson of being scared, which she justified with his travel plans. You are coming to Poland, you're not coming to Kiev. Well, in case of the oligarchs, I have to give Kaleniuk the point that I say she's right. But about the no-fly zone, I have to agree with Boris Johnson. Yeah, you will be surprised that doesn't happen very often, but in this case he's right. A no-fly zone is something that would lead to World War III because NATO would declare war on Russia. And that is an escalation we cannot afford for the sake of this planet. And it is a tough situation. We are all standing with the people of Ukraine, and I heard something very important. In some countries, they have a leader which is a clown, and in another country now they have a comedian that became a leader and became one of the best leaders on the planet and a role model, and is even possibly not even to survive the next days. And that is a difference this war already makes. But it is very hard for the West to find a proper position there. Of course, Putin is the aggressor, he's a dictator, and he's a war criminal. But there are limits to what the others can do in this case, and I'm really sorry about this, and I'm really sorry about this reality on our planet and a war in Europe. And I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.